You are now listening to Artists at Work.
Artists at Work.
Artists at Work. What's up, everyone? Thank you guys for tuning in to the Artists at Work podcast. I am your host, 1AM, and today we got a special guest, a good friend of mine that goes by the name of Savant Rhymes, is here in the building with us. Savant, what's up?
What up?
What up? So for the people who do not know who you are, to me, you're a mentor to me because you taught me how to mix and master, and you taught me a lot of different things. So for the people who don't know you, let them know who you are.
Savant Rhymes, started off as a rapper, got into audio engineering because I was looking for that sound. And the studios I was going to, they didn't seem to get it. So I had to learn it by myself, took that, started opening up studios, even got into teaching for a little bit, even got into videos for a little bit. I guess you could say I wear a ton of hats. I didn't necessarily want to, but it's kind of like the saying, you want something done right, you got to do it yourself sometimes. And that's where it started, and it kind of just got out of control, and I started working on like a million things at once. And I mean, it's cool though, because, we get things done. And, like you said, I got to teach you a few things, people here and there. I'm always doing that. I like to get like a lot of people involved in projects. You can see, like, if I was a basketball player, I wouldn't always be going for like the slam dunk. Sometimes I pass the ball, and hopefully that energy gets returned. I'm seeing a lot of it actually now. We're just working with different people and people that are really serious about their craft. You know what I mean? And like I notice that those are the people that appreciate it and they give back, and then we make things happen. Synergy. We get things done together that we couldn't do by ourselves.
Yeah, most definitely. So where are you from, actually?
Born and raised in Santa Cruz.
Okay.
Been back and forth, different parts of the Bay Area for a long time. Was down in San Diego for a little bit, but Santa Cruz, that's where I went to high school.
Okay.
Shit like that.
Is that where your musical journey like started, like in high school, like when you first started like just messing with music, creating stuff?
The thing that I like about it was real organic, like park benches, like people freestyling, like I have a memory of being in like some older dude's house, and I don't even remember exactly who it was, but there was like older dudes and they were rapping, we're just drinking, smoking. And I was like a little kid, and they were like, "Where's your flow?" Right? Because they're all rapping. They said, "Where's your flow?" And I like try to rap, hella whack, you know what I mean? Like just try to do something, right? But it always stuck in my head, where's your flow? Because it was like, who are you? You know what I mean? What do you have to say?
Yeah.
Right? It was like it stuck to me, like, where's your flow? Like, you know what I mean? Who are you? And I mean, that's not necessarily when I started, but that always stayed in my mind. And then later on in life, the music, it kind of just, it found me, because I had friends that were really into music, and I wasn't even into music until like high school, like late high school, to be honest. Because I never even had a CD player or anything like that, like this is like way back in the day where like you had to have tapes, you had to have CDs to listen to music. You weren't just turning on your phone and listening to YouTube. Like you had to have the gear, This is when they still had CD stores, So I never was, able to listen to that much like music that I wanted to or was introduced to, but people would show me a lot of music, and then eventually I was like, I wanted to be like those artists. So then I started writing, couldn't stop.
So what was your first project then from that point when you're like, damn, like I really want to do this? So when did you like start like, oh, like I'm just going to record something,
I got a stereo, those stereos that have like a double tape deck and like the CD player on top. Yeah. So I got one of those, and I got a little cheap mic, and we play the CD, and then we rap on the mic and record on the tapes, and then if you're real dope, my homie actually showed it to me. If you're real dope, you could take the tape out, throw it in the other tape deck, and then do like dubs, so you could have a layer,
Oh,
right? And that blew
dang.
our minds. That blew our minds for our kids. We're like, oh, what? You can put your voice on twice, and that was around 17. Um, like the real project, I
Mm-hmm.
don't think really happened until maybe like I was 21, to be honest. There wasn't really that many studios at that time. There was a
Mm-hmm.
couple, but they were real expensive, and it wasn't as abundant as it is now. Because everybody has a studio now.
Yeah.
You know, you get a you get a few $100, you could do a studio now.
Exactly.
Build your own, which
Mm-hmm.
which is cool. But back then it was different. There was a lot more writing. Like I was writing like all the time.
Mm-hmm.
And then finally when I got to the studio, I was working on a project, but it wasn't, there was no like real album in mind yet.
Mm-hmm.
I was just, getting the songs down finally, but then I didn't like them. I
Okay.
didn't like I didn't like the way they sounded. Like I like my lyrics, but it didn't sound like me. Like you would like do all kinds of stuff to my voice. I'm like, it doesn't mean I just wanted it to sound like me. You know what I mean? I don't
Yeah.
want it to have all these extra effects, or I don't want to layer my voice 1,000 times just to sound crazy. And I ended up getting my own gear after that. And then my first project was Against the Grain. And that's when I was like 23,
Okay.
finally did it. I took that down from the internet because I actually wanted to like get the graphics better and remaster some songs and
Mm-hmm.
put it back up later on.
Is that kind of like that time when you were, because you had showed me like some like music videos from back in the day. Was that kind of that same similar time, or was that like further back?
The videos came a little later.
Okay.
Yeah. Cause that was it's funny how things work. Like at first it was hard to record your music,
Mm-hmm.
right? And then we got that. And then that kind of became not shit. Like, okay, we can do that whenever we want. And then the next thing was like it was hard to get good videos, right?
Yeah.
So then I was just like always trying to find a video guy. And the first guy who shot our first video, we were all mad because he just disappeared. We shot the video. We were like, "What the fuck?" Like he ain't picking up the phone, like things like. And then he ended up hollering back and saying that he got sick. I don't know.
Mm.
I felt like a jerk, right?
Yeah.
And then, but then he gave us the video. So he gave us the video like 6 months later, and then we put that one out. It was cool. Little collab. You
Mm-hmm.
know, and then after that, like the music, I didn't like the videos like 100%. Like it was cool,
Mm-hmm.
but I was like, man, I want to like get a little bit more cinematic with it. I wanted to be like telling a story, or I wanted to have a certain feel, a certain color, like
Mm-hmm.
because like certain imagery, it just pulls you in, right?
Right.
Because if I showed you a video and we just grabbed the camera and shot it, or used a phone and shot it, right? It
Mm-hmm.
might be HD, but it's not going to necessarily pull you in,
Mm-hmm.
because you could just look at it right away, like in a split second, and be like, oh, this is I don't know, this is cheap, this is low budget, or you didn't know what you're doing. You know what
Yeah.
I mean? So I wanted to make those videos that just really pulled you in. So then I started learning video too, and then working on those, which is kind of shitty sometimes because you can't necessarily shoot yourself.
Yep.
So then, so then you gotta go and show your boys what you just learned, and hopefully they can do it right.
Yeah. Or you gotta set them up and try to get them to just follow the motion.
Yeah, I mean, because man, it's bugged out because you could just hold the camera a little bit different.
Mm-hmm.
It's a whole different feel. You know what I mean? You use the focus a little bit different. It's a whole different feel.
Mm-hmm.
Like but we're getting it done. It's only getting better and better. Recently, I feel like into the next like phase of videos where like the
Mm-hmm.
quality just got way better. You
Yeah,
know?
that last video. That was the starting from scratch one, right?
Yep.
Yeah,
Yep.
that one, yeah. That one was like really good quality. I'm like, yeah. You definitely had your I know you, like you're
You're
just
like,
like
fuck that fool.
that's something like that I admired from you is because like you kind of like imagine shit in your mind and you already know what you want. You keep like doing it until it comes out like exactly how you imagined it. Like I remember when you helped me with that video with Static
Oh
and we were
yeah,
in this
yeah.
in the
Oh,
studio and like you kind of just like helped us with utilizing that small space and making it look like a really good production, even though it was just literally that one space. But you had us like, like film just like different angles and like, me playing the piano and like making the beat. You know what I mean? Like you made it so that it's like more than just what's there. And that's why I always admired that you're always good at like thinking outside of the box and making it more than what it, you know what I mean? If that makes sense.
no, for sure, man. Thank you, thank you. You know, because I forgot about that.
Mhm.
But that was yeah, because it was literally like a 200 square foot little area,
Yeah.
and it was just like a hella angles and yep, yep, yeah. Because it's like I said, like you know how you want things to pull you in,
Mhm.
and then just I don't know, just being a visual person,
Mhm.
like
Yeah, like your lyricism in your music, like I know that that's like a big thing for you, right?
yeah, no, definitely.
Going back to the music, do you consider yourself an independent artist and what was like what's kind of like your journey about that like being independent or have you ever been signed?
Well, it's funny because you probably experience this too when you work with people, they want to like make you part of something.
Mhm.
It's like, oh, okay, we want you on this team. We want you like on my label. You know what I mean? But overall, I've always been independent. I've had opportunities to like go here and go there, but the struggle was like they want you to like rap a certain way, or they want you to change your style or something like that because oh, this will sell more, or things like that. But I was always hard headed and like if I'm gonna do it, I'm gonna do it my way. Like, what's the
Mhm.
point? What's the point of doing it like just to get attention, opposed to like really speaking your mind, right?
Right.
So that kind of forced me to stay independent. But I mean, if something made sense, I'm not opposed to like a deal or some type of distribution. You know what I
Mhm.
mean? Because if somebody's behind what you do, that would make sense. You know.
Mhm.
But if it's like, oh, you need to make more songs like this, more songs like that, because people always used to say things like, you actually got a story, like you could talk about this and you could talk about that, but
Mhm.
it's like, yeah, but that stuff is real and words are powerful. So it's just like if I'm gonna be like glorifying this and that, I'm a put both sides of the coin like in the song or in the
Yeah.
album. You know what I mean? Because I always want to be able to stand by behind what I say,
Right.
not just be reckless and be talking about a bunch of mayhem, you know.
Mhm. What is it like being an independent artist? Like, from when you started like to now, what are like some of the biggest takeaways that you can share?
It's a lot of work. That's something that pops into my mind, but I know it's different for everybody because I know some people that only rap.
Mhm.
They don't engineer, they don't do any of the stuff like behind the scenes.
Mhm.
Um, I mean, it's a trip because one group of people could ignore you and act like I don't care, right?
Mhm.
And then a couple of people are gonna be like acting like you're freaking walking on water. And
Mhm.
it's trippy because it could kind of mess with your head a little bit. Like, should I keep doing it? Does anybody really care? And then you get like somebody who buys your CD for like $200, and they're just like, I just want to make sure you know that I believe in you. And you're just like, all right, you know what I mean? Things like that happen. You know what? Right now, what I would say, I actually told this to a friend of mine, artist who I guess is on a label now, is that when you're independent, you see everything. Like you're in charge of everything. Like
Mm-hmm.
you put out your album, you distribute it yourself, you can see all the numbers,
Mm-hmm.
right? You're in control. If you sign to a label, you have to wait for them to pay you
Mm-hmm.
if you make any money. You know what I mean? And then it's like imagine if they just wanted to play games, and then you're like, oh, okay, give me the paperwork and da, da, da. So it's like adding somebody, in the workflow that doesn't even necessarily need to be there at this time. Because if you grind and you put stuff out and you perform, you're gonna be getting some type of attention if you got skills,
Mm-hmm.
you know, and you just you just don't really need like as much as you did, like let's say like in the 90s or something, right? Where like everybody's dream was to get signed to a label because they
Mm-hmm.
would put like $1 million behind you and stuff like that. And even people that I know who got on freaking big labels and had like a $3 million budget. At the end of the day, I don't even know if they made a dime after they took back, the plane tickets and
Yeah.
the billboards. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
Because like the freedom and the control that you have nowadays, like if you got skills and you're not afraid to perform and stuff like that, like I feel like you could get something going. You just got to be consistent and you just got to love it.
You gotta be able to get through those nights where you're just like, damn, should I do it? Should I continue? And then, ride those highs when you're like, this is awesome. Yeah. Like, getting shows every night, you know.
Well, the other thing is that if you're a real artist, like you can't stop writing. You're always gonna write.
Mm-hmm.
Like I think, yeah, like I didn't really do nothing for like 5 years because I was just doing other things.
Mm-hmm.
But like I was still writing during that time, and that's why like to certain people, I just dropped an album out of nowhere.
Yeah.
They're like where did this come from? You know what I mean? I don't even know if this guy rapped anymore. Like no, I was still writing during that time. I was still recording, still mixing, doing all the stuff,
Mm-hmm.
just behind the scenes a little bit more, and just not being in a rush, you know.
Yeah.
Because right now everything's all saturated. People drop like stuff all the time,
Mm-hmm.
but who's gonna care about that in like 10 years? You know what I mean?
Right.
If you're just making songs that are catchy or something like that, like, I'm not hating on it. Like, you got to make fun music and things like that. But I've always wanted to make timeless music to where it didn't matter what year it was. You could still
Mm-hmm.
be like, like sometimes I'd be driving in traffic and somebody like honk at me. And I'm like, what's up? They're like, oh, I still bump stomach. I'm like, damn, he's talking about he's talking about the album I dropped when I was 23. Like,
Damn.
you know what I mean? And it's like it's just a underground album, But
Mm-hmm.
I'm glad that people still, they still like that shit.
How many projects do you have under your belt? Because I don't even know that. I know of like two.
You know what? Not even necessarily that much, because this is actually my second solo album,
Mm-hmm.
and then I had a collab album, and then me and Nexo are damn near done with the new one we're coming out with.
Mm-hmm.
So like three, I guess you call that three and a half. But there is a unreleased, like, what you call it, like a lost tapes that I
Mm-hmm.
ever put out. So there is that. Like there's a lot of material, but when it comes to like actual like projects with the title on a cover,
Mm-hmm.
you know, three,
Okay.
say three, unless I'm forgetting.
Not counting like collaborations, right? Just like projects, like
Oh
solid
yeah,
bodies of
I
work.
mean, yeah, like a collaboration, like song with somebody.
Mm-hmm.
I don't even know, because I would forget. You know what I mean? Because like I guess you could call the one with like Planet Asia, you could call that a project, but that was just one track.
Yeah.
And then there's a whole bunch of other ones from like way back. Yeah, like I'll be forgetting. you know.
It's all good.
You actually reminded me of something. So do projects count if I mix and master them?
Yeah.
So I guess technically I got one for you, right?
Mm-hmm.
And I don't know if you heard Lorena Mares. She just
Mm-hmm.
I think I shared it with you. I mixed and mastered hers, and that was dope. It's like R&B with like
Mhm.
hip hop, hip hop beats, and then
Mhm.
she sings in Spanish and English. You know, Nexo, I did his project. Fuck, there's a gang of them. See, I'll
Okay.
forget. Those are the recent ones that I'm remembering. You know, and then sometimes I'll get like requests from producers to like mix their artists like single or something.
Yeah.
You know, so there's quite a bit actually out there. Like I was tripping out during COVID. I was like beating myself up, like, man, I ain't doing nothing. I ain't doing nothing. And then like I was thinking about it of all the shit that I worked on. And I was like, what the fuck am I talking about? Like, I did hella shit. Like, you
Yeah,
know what I mean?
engineering is part of the artistry.
Well, you know, because you know, you're never satisfied. Like
Yeah.
when you seek perfection, right? So you might do all that, but there's still, you know, like if you did 10, there's still 20 that were on your mind that you
Yeah.
didn't do. Right. So I'm trying to slow down a little bit and, you know, actually like be aware of like what is going on and what I am doing.
Mhm.
Right. So yeah, I just wanted to say that before I forgot.
I feel like the same way. Like I can contain like my projects that I physically put out, but all like the collaboration stuff kind of floating around. I lose track of it and I'm like, oh yeah, that song again.
What's dope about that though is that like if you hear it again, you'll hear yourself from a listener's perspective. Has that ever
Yeah.
happened to you?
Yeah.
Like you're listening to yourself rap, but you don't know what you're gonna say, and then you're
Mhm.
like, oh, that's fire. All right, because you
It's a
know, because
trip.
when you write it, you know what's coming, right? And I've
Mhm.
had that a few times where I heard myself rap from a different person's perspective, and I was like, oh, that was pretty cool. Like,
No, yeah, that recently happened to me. Someone sent me a song, I guess we were collaborating on like probably 2, 3 years ago. And they sent it to me, and I'm like, they were like, oh, this song, like the title, blah, blah, blah. And I'm like, okay, send it. And then I sent it, and then I'm like listening to him, like, that doesn't even sound like me. I'm like, what the fuck? It's a
that's a
trip.
yeah. I mean, that's a long time ago. Your style is probably not even the same one.
Yeah, like you could tell the way I rap now, like compared to how I used to rap. Like you could definitely hear it. But it's like it's a trip because it's like, damn, like you're sitting on that for like 2, 3 years. Like I know, like for you, like your process, you take it step by step because you want everything to fit like your vision, right? But
Yeah.
what is like how do you feel about all that like holding on to music? Because I got hella shit in my vault too that I just sometimes I just don't want to like release it. But like, what are your thoughts about like that process of like creating stuff, and then you're just like, I'm gonna just wait on that because it's not quite where I want it. What are your thoughts about the process of like when you're creating shit and instead of releasing it, you just hold on to it? Like, when is it time to release something, and when is it time to be like, okay, this song is never gonna see the light of day?
Sometimes I'll let songs go. Like I've done songs before that people liked, right?
Mm-hmm.
But I didn't like the energy on it. I'd be like, like you know, I mean, that's not the energy I'm trying to put out for this one. And then like they'll just be unreleased, like you know, goes in that pile of bones. But one thing we were joking about in the studio one time was like I was like, man, I gotta put out the Start From Scratch album because like what if I die and it's just nobody hears it? So
Aw.
that was the time, you know what I mean? I was like, you
Yeah.
know, it's just like a thought, like well, shit happens, you know. Plus COVID was happening, you know,
Yeah.
people were people were passing away, and I was just like, man, I gotta quit fucking around, and put this out. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
That was a literal thought, and I shared it with another artist. And like she was like, "Oh my god, I think about the same thing." I'm like, "Oh, I think that means it's time." You
Yeah, I
know,
feel that. Oh, I like, how long did it take for that process of that album specifically to like be done?
um, some of the songs on there are a little older,
Mm-hmm.
but I wasn't necessarily like putting the album together yet because like the inspiration for songs, you know, it'll come from life, right? Or
Mm-hmm.
I mean, at least for me, most of the time, right? So I'll write songs when like I start hearing lyrics in my head
Mm-hmm.
or you know, less of the time, sometimes producers will send me beats and I'll just be like, oh shit, I have to write to that. I'll like buckle down and write something to it. But a lot of the times when I start projects, it's like I'll write lyrics in my brain, like just walking around or driving around, and then I gotta find a beat later on. You know what I mean? And that
Mm-hmm.
that sucks because then sometimes that takes a long time, right? So I've been trying to actually write to the beats more. Like I'll just maybe like write down the idea and then
Mm-hmm.
actually write the lyrics to the beat because I'm notorious for just writing beats in my head and then I gotta find a beat for it,
I
you know.
thought you. I remember you do have some production skills, though. No.
Making beats.
Yeah.
Like I can make beats, but it's kind of like one of those things where like I'll reach a point and I'll be like, okay, I don't know what to do anymore to this beat, right?
Yeah.
Opposed to like my homie Drezel Motley, who's been making me beats lately. I'll go and sit in the studio with him and he's just adding like 10 layers to a sample, but they're
Mm-hmm.
like super quiet or they only come in at this time, right? Because he bugs out on production like I bug out on lyrics, right?
Okay.
So he's like, okay, he's watching videos on it, or he's always trying to take it to the next level. And I guess I'm just not that passionate about beat production, right?
Mm-hmm.
So then I'm like, okay, I'm gonna just leave that to them. Like, you know what I mean? I'll
Mm-hmm.
concentrate on the lyrics. You know, I like to make things sound good. I like to make things look good. So I'll do the engineering and I'll do the videos. Because how many hats can you wear, right?
No, for real. I was gonna actually bring that up too, cause like I'm kind of like that where I want to record myself, I want to engineer myself, I want to produce myself, I want to just shoot the videos, do the photography, design. You know what I mean? Like all that shit. Like sometimes I want to do
Well,
it
you did.
myself. I do
You
do
did do
it,
that.
but then
Yeah.
sometimes I that creative juice like
You
it's
get
not.
tapped.
Yeah, it's not equal on all those levels. So lately I'm just
Mhm.
like, who's got bees? Like I'm just gonna I'm gonna look around and take a minute, and I find like that helps though, cause like sometimes I'll be making a beat because I have a song in my head, and then it just doesn't fit. You know what I mean? And then you go and find someone else's beat, and you're like, that's perfect. Boom, and it just matches.
Well, you think about the energy of a band, when you go see a live band,
Mhm.
it's just like you can't like stand still in front of a live band, right?
Mhm.
There's something about, collaborations that like, that'll do that to you.
Mhm.
Some people can like do everything, from the ground up, but, I don't, yeah, like you said, like you shouldn't always do it.
Mhm.
Just like what 2 days ago, dude called me just to go sit in the studio with him. He's like, oh, I got to make these beats for these guys. Like, but they always come out better when you're here, right? So then I just go literally like sit in the studio with him and be like, okay, what if you did that? Or what if you did that? You know, he's making the beat, but I'm like, I like that. Or that's garbage. Like, and then like,
Yeah.
but he acknowledged that, that they were coming out better. So I'm like, yeah, that's what you want to do. Let's do it.
Yeah. That's that chemistry, that collaboration chemistry where you're just like, once you get together, it's like boom, fire.
Yeah. I mean, because the thing I don't do that probably enough, but the thing I do like about that is that sometimes you will make something that you would have never made before, because I've had like verses, because I hate writing in the studio, right? Like if
Hmm.
I go to the studio, people invite me to the studio and they're like, okay, we're gonna write to this beat. I'm like, like, email me the beat. I'll be back.
Yeah.
You know, like they'll literally like email me the beat and I'll like go walk. You know what I mean? Then I'll come back with a 16. I'm like, okay, I got it. Right.
Hmm.
Um, but there has been times where I just wrote a 16, like bam, like in 10 minutes. It was crazy, you know. But it doesn't happen all the time. But I knew I wouldn't have wrote that if I wasn't there.
Hmm. Oh yeah, collaboration is a trip. I'm a similar writer where I'm just like, I want my own space, my own creative space, and then I'll come back and then it's like different, instead of writing it in the studio with everyone around you and it's like, oh no, that's whack. Or, everyone's like putting in their little 2 cents in. It's just like,
It's hard to get things done like that. The
hmm.
same thing goes with mixing too. Like sometimes I'll like be mixing in front of people. Like, oh, it needs this, it needs that. I'm like, you need to shut the fuck up. Like, Because it's like if you try to make everybody happy, nobody's gonna be happy because it's gonna be garbage, right?
Mm-hmm.
You have to find some type of direction, you know,
Mm-hmm.
and that goes with like lyrics too. If you're just writing lyrics to make people happy, you know what I mean? Like
Mm-hmm.
what is your aim? I mean, people do that, but
Mm-hmm.
those aren't the people that are really getting plays for me though.
What would you say, like, right now in hip hop? What is missing? What's the missing element that only independent, like, artists can really just, like, fucking bring and just, like, shine in, I guess?
I noticed that like people have been being more lyrical, you know, recently, even if the content isn't crazy.
Mm-hmm.
I do appreciate that people are like using bars again, because there was a point where there was like no bars and you're just kind of like, damn, like everybody just abandoned that aspect of rap where it was just kind of like club music or just catchy stuff, right? And
Mm-hmm.
that's when I was really bugging out. But and then some bars came back. I'm like, cool, right? But the funny thing is that there hasn't been that many artists that I heard and that I stuck with.
Mm.
Because you know how if you really like somebody, you start listening to them all the time,
Mm-hmm.
right? So it's like, okay, how come I'm not really like fucking with this, right? One thing that I was sharing with a boy of mine was that the hip hop artists when I was younger, they seem like superheroes. They're
Mm.
like larger than life, right? And like they had stories, right? And I notice now nobody seems to have really that aspect to them, right? Where
Storytelling?
it's like, how would you explain it? Like they really like the passion, like they really cared that you listen to them, right?
Mm.
Like if you break down like a Big Pun 16, right? Yeah, he's rapping fast. Yeah, he's using like punchlines. He's being lyrical, but he's like slipping in like some like crazy perspective
Mm.
in a lot of those bars. Like there's some bar in there where he says like I'm a living abortion or something like that, right?
Mm-hmm.
And you're just like, well, like you know what I mean? But he like was so talented that he could talk about things but still entertain you. And then like just I don't know. It seems like a lot of rappers don't care that much. You know what I mean? Like they cool with like getting all the girls and getting money.
Mm-hmm.
And I was like, okay, yeah, we need money. People like girls, but like, but then why are you a rapper? Like, there's other ways to make money,
Yeah.
you know. But I
The
mean,
ego thing, fame, fortune,
yeah,
same
yeah. Some
shit.
people, some people just want that. You know what I mean? But the other thing is, there's probably a million guys out there that we just haven't heard either.
Mm.
They're spitting everything we're talking about isn't there.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? Like somebody could be saying the same exact thing I'm saying right now in New York, and then maybe if they heard my album, they'd be like, "Oh shit, motherfuckers is still rapping like this."
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like the funny thing is, I think the latest artist that really stuck with me it was an R&B artist,
Mm. Who was it?
the Amber Mark. If you listen to her lyrics, she's like a rapper. Like the way that she like puts her thoughts down. This is like Sade, like literally like I know that's kind of a sin to say, but this is like modern like Sade status. Like
Mm.
when I was bugging out because I used to listen to a lot of Sade too. It goes all the way back to the 80s, right?
Yeah. Amber Mark. I remember you showing me her.
Yeah, I just randomly heard it one time, and then I was like listening to the lyrics, and then just like the voice, and then like the way the production would change up. I was just like, damn. And then I found out I think she makes her own beats too, records herself.
Oh shit.
Like I think she made her first two CDs like just in her apartment,
Mm-hmm.
like on GarageBand. Like it's weird though, because I think the first, I don't know about the second one, but one of the CDs you could like hear noise in it, like like you could tell that it's I guess you call it like semi-pro,
Mm.
right? It wasn't done in a studio. You could just tell, but
Mm-hmm.
it's just like the quality superseded, like the quality of the music superseded the quality of the production. But yeah, like the shit. If a rapper could do that to us, that's what's up. you know?
Any artists right now that kind of just stick out other than, I mean, it doesn't have to be hip hop because I know for me it's like it's pretty hard to get to find someone that you're just like, yeah, that's my person. I'm gonna listen to them. You know what I mean? But is there any artist right
Shit.
now other than
The
Amber Mark?
artist, the artist that I'm fucking with, you know, it's just like the one you just dropped, the window side B. I was like
Mm-hmm.
bugging out on that, and I was like, okay, because you had me mix side A, and then you showed me that one, and I was like, okay, she's leveling up again, you know, because like I like to see the progression and the growth,
Mm-hmm.
you know, and the Nexo, you know, Lorena Mares, uh, their shit, their shit is quality, you know,
Mm-hmm.
it's you could tell is coming from like their spirit, you know what I
Mm.
mean?
Yeah.
Because like anybody could write lyrics,
Mm-hmm.
right? But if you put the extra effort into I don't know, just being creative and
Mm-hmm.
getting your point across, that's what to me like stands out. You know what I mean? Especially too if you got a fucking story, you
Yeah.
know what I mean? Some people are hella humble and shit, and you don't even know their story until you hear their bars,
Mm-hmm.
or you drink some beers with them or something, you know?
Maybe that's what's missing, like in the industry right now. Is like, because I know, like for me, when I was growing up, I like certain artists because I was growing with them. You know what I mean? Like as I was growing, they were growing too, but you could hear it in their music. You could see it in the way that they held themselves, like on stage or like in interviews and shit like that. But now it's like everyone is like presented like they're already the perfect package, and then they drop another album and it's like they didn't try as hard. They're just like, whatever, I made it.
I mean, you got a point because being transparent allows a lot more connection.
Mm-hmm.
You know, like if you're having a conversation with somebody, you can tell they're holding something back. It
Mm.
limits it, right? And
Yeah.
I think that is happening a lot because it's like we're living in an era right now where Instagram, right?
Mm-hmm.
Everything is being photoshopped,
It's
right?
curated.
People, yeah, people's whole personas are being photoshopped. your pers- your personality is photoshopped. You know what I mean?
That's the truth though, like for real. Cause like everything on Instagram is like presented like, oh, perfect. Like, like I don't know. I like artists like Mac Miller. Like he would be like, I fucked up, or like, oh, I wrote this on paper. I can't really read it, but fuck it, I'm gonna do it. Like
Hmm.
just shit like that. Like they're presenting themselves as like as humans. They're like,
Mm.
yeah, like I
Yeah,
make mistakes.
yeah. I know. I don't want to sound like a grumpy old man like kids these days. You know what I mean? But it is a factor. There is a difference. But at the same time, there is a lot of people who think that same thought though, where
Mm-hmm.
they're like they want to hear more down to earth stuff.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like kids, like 16-year-olds would be like, "Oh, I mean, I'm only listening to like R&B from the 90s right now because it's different, it's
Mm-hmm.
better." Right? So there is people that have that hunger for it, you know. You just got
Mm-hmm.
to keep doing it. You just got to keep pushing,
Mm-hmm.
you know.
They just gotta hear it too.
Instead of get better, get busy, you know what I mean?
Mm-hmm. Not for sure. I'm curious too, like, at least for like independent artists, a lot of people that I know don't really wear too many hats. I guess in your opinion, like, what are the most important hats to wear if you're an independent artist?
Probably the one I don't wear,
Who's that?
the promoter.
Oh gosh. Same.
I hate promote my own shit, right? It just feels weird. But that's probably the most important one.
Mm-hmm.
Like I'll notice like I didn't do nothing for a long time. I'll put up like a picture, right? But I'm like, okay, I kind of feel stupid putting a picture of myself like on the internet, even though that's what everybody does, right?
Yeah.
But I felt kind of stupid, like, oh yeah, like
Because you're from
you
a
know,
different era, that's why.
yeah, like yeah, exactly. Like you come from an era where like the less they know, the better, right? And
Mm-hmm.
now it's like everything's on blast. But you put up just a picture, right? And then
Mm-hmm.
people start hitting you up again and things like that. And you know, and then you put a song up and it's like it has like half the attention of a picture.
Mm-hmm.
So it goes to show you how important image and promotion is.
Yeah,
It's crazy.
branding.
But being independent too, though. I mean, in my case, I don't think I would have ever got like any satisfaction with my own projects if I didn't do it myself.
Mm.
So like if you have a passion for sound or just like you want things to be a certain way, you have a strong vision, you know what I mean? So just fucking, start learning how to do it.
Mm-hmm.
Because if I relied on, other people to do it, it's like not only might I not get it, it might be hell of expensive too, you know?
Yeah.
Because it's like because people would tell me like, oh yeah, I'm gonna pay you to mix the song, but I want it to sound like that one song of yours. I'm like that one song was like I probably went through like 20 hours back and forth mixing on it. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And then they want you to knock that out in like 2 hours. Like it don't work like that.
Yeah. Well, yeah, there's a lot that goes into the whole mixing and mastering process. Like, you literally got to take off your artist hat and get in this mindset of, like, okay, I'm going to mix this song and try to be in a different perspective of it so that you can actually mix it accordingly instead of, like, having your opinions and you're like, like, maybe I got to go re record this shit and, like, blah, blah, blah. Like, nah. Like, you got to, like, really sit down and, like, put yourself in a different.
Because I was gonna say like you gotta be honest with yourself because like it's like picking beats, right?
Yeah.
You gotta pick beats to complement your voice,
Mm-hmm.
right? And then it's like I know everybody probably has an insecurity about their voice,
Mm-hmm.
right? Even if other people like it. Like somebody told me the other day that it's like nobody has a voice like me rapping right now,
Mm.
right? And I was like, that's funny because sometimes when I'm recording, I'm like, I sound like an old man, like you know what I mean, like. Like sometimes I'm like, yeah, I'm like, I wish it was a little bit more high or something, right?
Mm-hmm.
Uh, to like cut through the mix, because I have to pick certain beats that
Oh
frames the
yeah.
voice, right? And that actually took me a long time to learn,
Mm-hmm.
because sometimes you like something, but you don't necessarily sound good on it. It's like color, like you got like if you wear a color that looks funny on you, there ain't nothing you can do about it. You just got to
Yeah,
wear the other color, you know.
that's very true. No, but honestly, like, your voice, you have a unique voice in this time and period, right? Like, I think it's because you're probably thinking, like, in your era, like, everyone has that voice, which is kind of true. But now it's like you go on YouTube and you click a rap video, it's like some rap kid going, yeah, you know what I mean? It's like, okay. And then you put on, like, one of your songs and you're like, oh shit, like, transporting you back to another fucking era. But it's like, it just has, like, a smooth sound. Like, you're really good at, like, putting your lyrics out there as well as the delivery and shit like that. Yeah, no, I definitely feel that though about the voice the voice thing.
Well, the fucked up thing was like I don't even think I heard about Pop Smoke until he got killed, right?
Mm.
And then when I was like listening to his shit, I was like, dude, I was like, he was like somebody with a crazy voice, But then he got
Mhm.
killed. His
Yeah.
life got cut short.
Because
Yep.
it was too on blast. That's the. I heard it was because he posted a picture
His location.
and his location was in it, and they just
Yeah, that
came straight up
sucks.
and popped him. So that's like, that's a lesson learned. That's an unfortunate one, but it's a real lesson learned of, like, the self promotion is real. It's important, but at the same time, you don't want to tell everyone, like, where you are exactly right now. You know what I mean? This
Yeah,
time and place.
well, who knows, like, because nobody knows about beefs or what other
Mm-hmm.
things that could have been going on in the background. You know what I
You
mean?
know, there's some weirdos too out there. You know, there's a lot more weirdos popping up.
Oh shit! Yeah, I know. I know that, and I'm not even famous. Met some
Mm-hmm.
weirdos myself.
Mm-hmm. Um, I want to congratulate you too on just releasing the Starting From Scratch, because I really enjoyed it, and I want you to do the shameless self promotion of like what is Starting From Scratch. Like tell people about this album. I want to know like, you know, what's your favorite song on it? Who is your favorite collaborators? What was the mixing and mastering process like? Let's talk about the album.
Well, first, the title, Start From Scratch, like DJs from way back,
Mm-hmm.
right? Because, hip hop, it started with DJs, right? I think we could all agree on that,
Mm-hmm.
right? And what do DJs do? They scratch, right? And what is hip hop? It's something that came from nothing, right? So, like when you cook a meal, if you say you started it from scratch, it's from nothing, pretty much. It's like
Mm-hmm.
nothing processed, at least, or you use what you had to make what you wanted, right? So, I wanted to highlight that part of hip hop because hip hop's it's such an influence on me,
Mm-hmm.
right? So I wanted to give props to like where it started, how it started, and kind of like the beauty of it. Because I've had like, like people who run bands and like they have the whole thing like I actually play instruments, type of thing, right? You guys just rap over beats or whatever, right? I'm like, yeah, but they started from scratch. They started from nothing. The All they had was the record and the player and the speakers and people. So then they started sampling and then created something that is the biggest thing now, right? Like that's insane.
Mm-hmm.
They literally started something from nothing,
Yep.
right? And then, but also the title goes from it's like a personal perspective, start from scratch, right? Because when things ain't working or you got to make a change, sometimes you got to start from scratch. Throw everything away, burn everything down. You know, start from scratch. It's a pretty heavy song. I was tripping out, like if I should even put it on as first. It's pretty much talking about how you have every reason to give up sometimes, and then you got to find like the motivation. That I think that first song, even though it was a heavy ass song, and maybe albums like a lot of people like to start albums on an upbeat, you know what I mean? But I guess for this piece, I felt like it was a good song to start out the album with because it kind of illustrates the whole start from scratch thing. Because some people might hear it and be like, okay, I'm not going there today, right?
Mm-hmm.
But like when you're in a certain mind state, it's going to speak to you,
Mm-hmm.
you know. And that was, yeah. I mean, the funny thing is too, though, is that like that song wouldn't have happened, if I didn't move out to the Bay Area, because Lorena, who's singing on the hook, she's from out here, and I met her out here, and that song probably wouldn't have hit like that without the vocals on it,
Mm-hmm.
So
Is that your
it's kind
favorite song, or what's your favorite song on the album?
of favorite song. Fuck, that's always a hard one. You know what? Like that's a very raw song, right? That's a very revealing song, right?
Mm-hmm.
So every single word in that song was like just me. Like I felt like it was me 100%, right? But other songs on that album have different energies and different vibes that like on a different day, on a different feel, you're gonna want to hear, right? Like Air was a crazy one.
Mm-hmm. That was my
Um,
favorite one
a
with
lot of people
Genoa
like that
Brown.
one.
Yeah.
Yeah, a lot of people like that one.
Both of you
Uh,
guys' voices are just like perfect together on that track.
Thank you. So
Yeah.
no, somebody else was telling me that same thing, and I was just like, that's funny because a lot of people don't know is that I've known Genoa since I was like 12. Like,
Mm-hmm.
look, we went to school together, and that was I think our first time doing a song together. She's always been a singer,
Yeah.
but she was in bands. I think she was even like touring like internationally at one point.
Mm-hmm.
I think she's kind of settled down now. She has kids and stuff, but I think we always respected each other as artists, and then we finally made it happen. You know. But the other song that people bug out on too is "Takeaway" with Treese Hayes too.
Okay.
It has it's kind of a newer school beat in a sense.
Mm-hmm.
Young Genesis produced that. Shout out to him. That one to me, it's like fire in a whole different way because if you really listen to it, it's like the perspectives from like a fucked up relationship, right?
Mm-hmm.
And you got Tree singing, and I spit a 16, and then Lil Nas spits a 16, right? And like if you really listen to it, it's like you could learn a lot. It's like what we are talking about earlier, the transparency.
Mm-hmm.
I think people could relate to that one a lot, and plus the way it sounds too. It has a
Mm-hmm.
crazy sound.
Yeah.
You
No, definitely the transparency in the music. That's for sure the appropriate.
Because I was just thinking about that because that one actually took me a little bit to write, even though I only got a 16 on it.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I did some other writing too, actually, on that song, but I'm not going to say for who or what it was. But there is other lyrics in there that I wrote. That one, I wanted to make sure I wrote it right, right? Because sometimes you just write because somebody sent you a beat, and
Mm-hmm.
you're like, you know what, this ain't really sticking to my ribs. Like, I'm gonna give it a second, and then lo and behold, I'm just cruising around, listening to the beat, and then the lyrics just came out, and then it was just things that I was going through at that time, and it was like, when lyrics have that they have that ring to them, where you're
Mm-hmm.
just ooh, like this is special. So what I mean, like this is the one to lay down.
Okay.
Burn the other verses. I'm gonna lay down this one. You know
No,
what I mean?
yeah,
We're
that
gonna
one's a heavy song.
we're gonna fucking shoot a video for that one too.
Okay.
Yeah,
So that's like the third, right? The third video or the second?
it would be the second, right? Am I forgetting again? Yeah, because no, that would be the third because we did stars.
Yeah, yeah,
Yeah.
see?
Well, stars was a lightweight video. You know what I'm saying? Like
Okay.
Start from Scratch was like a video.
Yeah.
Stars was like, okay, let's give them something,
It still
right?
counts. It still
Yeah, no,
counts.
it counts, but in my mind, like the way it could have been
Mm-hmm.
would have been crazier. But I was like, you know what? Let's give them something, and
Mm.
then so it was like a warm up, and then Start from Scratch came out, and then we're gonna do a gang more actually.
Yeah.
Yeah, videos are fun, man.
What's the greatest takeaway from this album process? Like now moving forward.
The hard work pays off. I think that's probably a big takeaway from it because like with this album, a lot of the production in this album is from people that I knew, right? And because a lot of times in this era you could go on the internet and get beats all day, but yeah, so I got a lot of beats and features. They're all people I like directly know, and been working with for a minute, and it's really because I stayed true to my craft and they appreciated it, and things like that. Because I think before it was getting a little bit frustrating too, because sometimes like this is probably like engineer nerdy stuff, but it's like sometimes you can't get your stems right, so you're over there trying to mix a track that's just one, it's like just the beat and then the lyrics, and then when you know the producers, you work with them, you make things the way you want,
Mm-hmm.
and it's just like it's a whole different process, and it's like I was like, damn, it's like I'm grateful for people who want to work with me and just make the vision come to life.
Yeah, definitely. That's a good ass takeaway.
Yeah, I mean, because like sometimes I don't want to give away my secrets, but sometimes like when I meet producers, like I do like certain things to like get their attention, right?
Mm-hmm.
Because you could always just ask a producer for like a deal or a beat or hey, what's up, I rap, right?
Mm-hmm.
But I was like, there's been a couple times where like I'll meet producers, you know what I mean, and then like the hip hop is show and prove, right? You show them something, you spit them something, you know, and then all of a sudden they're like, oh shit, like I want to be on this project,
Mm-hmm.
and then 10 minutes ago you're a stranger, you
Yeah.
know. Now they're sending you fucking files, 100. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. Well, that kind of ties back into that collaboration chemistry because like there's just some people that are just like it's just like a natural ass thing, you know what I mean? Just to be able
Yeah.
to work with them, and then there's some people that are just like I don't know, you got some hate in you or some shit. Like I don't know what your problem is, but whatever.
No, you know what? That's the other takeaway though is that you got to get out of your comfort zone and explore.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? You got to meet new people who do music and all kinds of things, because you know what it's like. You're in
Mm-hmm.
Gilroy, it's limited, right?
Oh
I
yeah.
was in Santa Cruz, it was limited. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
It's just like I'm over there trying to be like, oh, let's go do this, let's go do that, and the people are like still posted at the same spot doing the same thing, and it's just like come on, man, like,
Yeah, no.
don't you want to go over there?
You gotta branch
You know what I
out.
mean? Yeah, and it's just like some people I guess are cool with that, no shade on them, but
Mm-hmm.
it's just like if you got a vision, you gotta do whatever it takes to accomplish it. You know what I mean? And sometimes you got to get up and get out. And plus you get motivation too though. Well, plus the audience too though, because I've always said you're not a rapper until you can rock a crowd full of strangers.
Mm-hmm.
Like I don't know how true that is, but I've always told myself that
Mm-hmm.
because you know how like you could rap around your friends, they might pat you on the back, be like, oh yeah, you're
Mm-hmm.
dope, you're fire, right? But
Mm-hmm.
you know what I mean? If you could do it, if you could get a crowd of strangers, you'd be like, ooh, you got something,
Yeah.
you know.
Good ass point though, because just I don't know, not like super recent, but there's like these two boys that went viral on TikTok. They're like called the Island Boys or something. I don't know if
I'm
you've
gonna
heard of
pretend
that.
I don't know who they are.
Oh yeah, yeah. Like, and I don't know who signed them or I don't know what they did, but they put them in a show with all these people, and like they weren't able to like make that connection, and so like people were booing them. But
Well, I mean, they went viral because they're ridiculous though,
yeah,
right?
I know that
Like,
that's that style, but I mean at the same time too, like there's some weird ass artists that are famous, and like but they're able to like connect with people in the crowd and be like, all right, we're all gonna fucking go dumb together, like.
yeah, that's the stuff that like it doesn't make sense to me, but I understand it.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's like
No, you're
fuck, you
not a
could,
real MC if you don't, rock a crowd,
yeah.
you
But
know?
like you said, some people will rock crowds and not be like, okay, what do they see though? Like, what are they rocking to? You
Mm-hmm.
know? But to each his own, right?
Yeah.
Like people jump around to like Tech Nine, right?
Every artist has their unique fan base, but
Yeah,
this
there's
is the way it
something. There's
is.
like there's those other genres that are like super, like say what is it, emo rap or something that they've been
Mm-hmm.
doing.
Yeah.
Where I didn't know that would ever fly. People are over there just like talking about how like they want to kill themselves, how depressed they are, but
Mm.
they're not even doing it with like lyrics though, like bars. It's just like
They're just talking.
this is yeah, it's like they're just talking. I was like, damn. But they have like a following. I'm like,
Yeah.
damn,
There's a crowd
I'll
for
make that happen.
everything. I guess that's the beauty of the internet too. It's like, you might not have a crowd here in your hometown, but somewhere there's people that like that shit, I guess.
Yeah, you just got to find a way to stand out through a billion people.
Speaking of the internet, so I wanted to do a new segment where I ask people to ask you questions. So we got
Okay.
we got some questions for you. This first one is from Donovan Made That. He said, "What or who are some of your biggest influences?"
I would have to say like East Coast rap from the 90s.
Mm.
I feel crazy fortunate that I grew up in that time because it was like they call it the golden era, right?
Yeah.
Because you know how there's like when rap just started, but it was kind of like doot, 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 right? And it's
Yeah.
like you try to listen to it nowadays, you respect it, but you're like, okay, that's a little
Yeah.
too
No.
simple, right? But then it got to that point, the golden era, and after that it changed again, right? And like just growing up in that era where like the music was like crazy serious, you could tell that they went in the booth like mentally they were competing with like every rapper that everybody thought was dope. They're like, nah,
Hmm.
I'm gonna go for their heads. You know what I mean? There was even like an interview I heard where like Nas was like tripping on getting on a song with Big Pun because he was like, man, I heard he's out here going for the heads, and like he was nervous about doing a song with Pun. I don't even think Pun was signed yet,
Oh
you
damn.
know. So that energy, even though grew up here on the West Coast, like I think when I first started listening to music, I didn't know the difference between East and West.
Mm.
I was just kind of like hearing what people were playing, right? And then like the lyricism and things like that, and just like the stories from the East Coast is like it really stuck. The beats too, man, shit, it
Mm-hmm.
really stuck out to me, right? So I'm just yeah, I'm really grateful to know that I grew up in that fucking era because
Hell yeah.
that shit made me, you know what I mean? Because I
Hell
probably
yeah.
wouldn't even wrote like this unless I heard that, right?
Yeah.
I would have been trying to emulate the next generation. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, like I would not be where I am if I wasn't listening to East Coast rap.
Well, because like you got to think about it, like the West Coast, I believe, a lot of people might hate me for saying it, but the gangbanging, like kind of like stunts it. You know what I
Mm.
mean? Because it's like a lot of people they don't feel comfortable maybe like being as open or you know what I mean, like
Yeah.
things like that. Because a lot of these neighborhoods and things like that is crazy serious.
Mm-hmm.
So people they're just like, oh, I'm not going to talk about this or I'm not going to talk about that.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? They're playing the politics. And then I think that the East Coast is a little bit more free. I think when it came
Mm.
to that, and people talk about, yeah, but the West Coast we got Pac. You're like,
But he's from the East Coast.
Pac's from the East Coast though. You know what I mean? You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's crazy. I mean, we do got lyricists out here. You know what I mean? But they had to fight for that spot. You know,
Mm-hmm.
or they had to go like a whole different route.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean?
For sure. This next one is from Reckless DWR. He said, "What do you hope listeners take away from your music?"
Perspective,
Mm.
right? Because I feel like when I listen to artists, I'm really listening for the perspective, right? I want to hear what they have to say. You know what I mean? Like
Mm-hmm.
personality, you know what I mean? And even though everything might not sound positive, there's typically something positive that you could take away from whatever subject, the song is touching on. You know,
Mm-hmm.
I don't typically just like just rap to rap. There's usually a point, even if that point is to show you that I could whoop your ass, or lyrically you're fucking done. Like, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
But I'm still only doing that so you go and listen to the other thing. You know what I mean?
Okay. He actually asked another question too. He said, "What is the reception of your first project compared to this new one?"
Well, honestly, the first one was crazier because it wasn't during COVID
Mm.
and I was out there a lot more. I mean, I'm grown now. So it's just like I'm not out there as much as I was.
Mm-hmm.
The first one was like sometimes I would go to shows I wasn't even booked and then be like, hey, and like, can you play this CD or can you take this USB? And then just like try to like fucking jack somebody's crowd, because I just wanted people to hear it. You know what I mean? It was a little bit more intense, you know. And then now it's just like, the whole COVID thing. The album was actually supposed to come out like before. It was supposed to come out like probably like a good year, maybe even two before, right?
Mm.
And the whole COVID thing just like made things crazy. So then it's just like you couldn't perform, you couldn't
Mm.
really like get the new heads. So
Mm-hmm.
everything's been like online,
Yeah.
and then the algorithms are different. Like, it's like we got thousands of plays like on IG and like TikTok, right? But then like the YouTube channel looks dry
Mm-hmm.
because everybody's using different platforms now.
Yeah.
And so it's just like, I have to like, kind of just like learn the new thing to do with it. You know what
Mm-hmm.
I mean? But the the new album though, I think people are like, I think bugging out on the completeness of it, if that makes
Okay.
any sense. Like they're just like I'll get these weird comments like I don't know if you ever experienced this, but people will be thinking you're doing so good or you got it so together or you're so talented that you don't need no help, right?
Yeah.
They're like, you're fine, you're good, right? I'm like I'm like, dude, like you still gotta like share it or buy it or like you know what I mean, like
Yeah.
something, right? But I'll get this weird thing where it's almost like people think you're already there,
Mm-hmm.
right? Because they see how, like, I guess how complete
Mm-hmm.
it all looks to them. Where like because I've heard other things like, yeah, I could listen to your whole album like from start to end and not skip a song. I'm like, shit, that's what's up. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? Because it's 9 tracks, but it could have been like 25 if I wanted,
Yeah.
right? But I cut it down to the ones that highlighted different energies.
Yeah. No, it definitely feels complete. Like there's no like wanting, I mean, not in a bad way, but like there's no wanting more of like what you're saying. It's like, okay, like your message is there, it's fucking presented, and it's like that's all you need to know who Savant Rhymes is, you know what I mean?
That's funny because I still feel like it's missing all kinds of shit.
Really?
Well, just because like I'm never happy. I'm never satisfied.
Yeah.
Right? I'm never
We're our own
satisfied.
worst critic.
Yeah. Yeah, but I appreciate you saying that because like a lot of people forget like what an album means. It's like
Yeah.
you get a photo album, it's supposed to be an album of like your favorite pictures, right?
Mhm.
So the CD album is supposed to be album of like the songs that you want to display to people, you
Mhm.
know.
So what's wrapping it up? Like what's next? What can we expect from you coming into this new year?
Well, I got a project with Nexo in the works that's being produced by Drizzle Motley.
Mhm.
So that will be we don't have a date yet, but I got like the majority of the beats. We got some crazy features on it that you guys probably wouldn't believe. You're gonna be like, you guys stole that from a acapella or something. It's like, nope. We got some big heads on it. You know what I mean?
Okay.
And I'm real excited about that because sometimes you like an artist a lot. Like
Mhm.
that's a talented artist. That's like maybe one of the best in the game right now, right? And then you get a verse from them, and you're just like, okay, okay. Life is a little bit good right now.
Mhm.
So that's gonna happen on the next project. The beats is banging. This one's probably gonna be a little bit more vicious. You know what I mean? We still got the concepts, but I think when me and Exo jump on tracks, it's like typically like, you know what I mean? Still sharp and steel.
Mhm.
You know what I mean? It's like he's like the rapper that I fuck with. That's just like, oh, okay. Oh, you going for my head on this track? I'm gonna go for your head too. Like, but that's good. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Fucking talented, man.
All right. So how do people like find you, connect with you, and what are your tags, your social tags?
I'm on Instagram, Savant Rhymes. I think I'm the only one. You know what I mean? You can check me out there. YouTube, my channel is Savant Rhymes. TikTok, I just joined that. Don't laugh at me. Savant Rhymes again. If you want to feature, if you want to send me beats, if you want to send me money, 1985 Savant at Gmail. We can do that the old school way.
So once again, thank you guys for tuning in to Artists at Work podcast, and thank you for listening to Savant Rhymes. Definitely go check him out. I will be leaving his information in the description.
Bandcamp.
And Bandcamp, yep,
I almost
Instagram,
forgot
TikTok,
Bandcamp.
all that shit. Make sure you guys go buy his album, Starting From Scratch.
Go cop it.
And with that, peace out. We will catch you on the next episode.